Hello, everybody, and welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am the company's expert, and today we're going to talk about the title of this podcast, or this live stream, which is marketing, which is how to get your first customers. This is something that I think is probably the number one question that a lot of people are wondering. They're wanting answers to. It's their number one challenge when they want to start a business or do a side hustle, something on the side. And it is, in fact, the biggest challenge in all of business. So I actually think this is a really cool topic, and I want to talk about it today. Hello to everybody who's here, to Julien. I recognize your name from last time. You were here last time. That's awesome. It's great when people come back. So hello to Julien. And I see there's 19 people here. You guys are awesome. We're here to do some self-improvement. We're going to be talking about how to get your customers, how to get customers in general. Basically, we're going to be talking about the science of how to make something popular. If you're trying to sell a product, you want to make that product popular. You want people to see it and go, oh, I need that. If you're trying to sell a service, same thing. You want people to hear about you or hear about the service you provide and instantly think, oh, that's awesome. I need that, right? And be willing to pay whatever you're asking for. So that's the idea behind this. And WCK Champion is here. Hello, Bill. Hello, WCK Champion. It's great to see you here. So, in the past, I have talked about some fundamental thing that it's kind of essential knowledge for people that want to start some kind of business venture. If you're doing a side hustle, something on the side, hopefully everybody knows what a side hustle is. You're basically starting a business, but you're starting a business on a very small scale, and it's part-time. And usually it's in a situation where you have a day job. So that takes up the majority of your time and energy. But on the side, evenings, weekends, whatever, around your day job, you have some extra time, extra energy to devote to something that can make you some additional income. Okay? And that's what we're talking about here. It's the easiest way to get into that world. And for some people, it's a step into a much larger, more wonderful world where you don't have to be dependent on employers to generate cash for yourself, to generate an income. Okay, it's a great liberating thing, and there has never been a better time to do this, nor has there been an easier time to do this. And I actually put out a poll today. If you are a subscriber to my YouTube channel, and I think if you click the bell or whatever, you turn on notifications, you see that I put out these polls every day where I ask people a question. And if you vote, you can go and then see, what everybody else is saying. And the question today was something along the lines of, working for an employer is my only viable chance or source of income, chance to get income or way to get income. And, do you agree? Yes or no? And I got some really weird loaded comments. Like vast majority of people are awesome and they just fill it in. But you can see I really struck a nerve with some people. And you can tell that there's, by the nature of their comments, there's an issue there. It's like I'm challenging their worldview or something by asking this question. Because a lot of people, they say, yes, there's no other way to make money than to go to work and get a job with an employer. And that, of course, is false. Now, depending on your personal situation, it may be harder for you, or it could be easier for you, depending on what's going on in your life and what skills you have and what your goals are in life, what your desires are. If you enjoy, being creative, being original, going against the grain, maybe this is more of a thing you would entertain. If you're more of a follower, you do as you're told. You need things to be validated first by seeming authority figures for you to consider it legitimate. Maybe you're more resistant to the idea, or you flat out deny it. So it's interesting how some people reacted to that. The other thing is that there's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to starting a side hustle or starting your own business. A lot of people say that you have to spend a lot of money, and you don't. You can start it up with nothing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, as I always say, think of a YouTube channel. How much does it cost to start a YouTube channel? Nothing. If you know what you're doing, you put a little bit of time into it. There's a lot of people that make an income from things like that. So there's an example right there. Min says, hello, sir. Nice to meet you again. Well, thank you, Min. It's nice to see you again, too. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the biggest challenge, how to get customers. Now, the scientific study of how to get customers is called marketing. So if you've never heard that before, that's the name of what we're going to be talking about here. Okay, marketing is the scientific study of customers or potential customers, and it's an area of business. And something that I talked about previously was the marketing funnel. Okay, we went over this, I think, in the very first episode. Okay, so hopefully everybody is familiar with this. If you're not familiar with this, this is a great way of being introduced to this. Okay, the idea is that if you attempt to make something popular, whether you're trying to sell a product or a service, this also applies incidentally to other things. Like, for example, if you're a politician trying to get elected, same thing. You're trying to become popular, get the message out. Okay, let's take the simplest scenario and say you're trying to sell a product. Okay, so the thing you do is you do promotion. You basically get the message about your product out there. That can take many different forms. It could be a post on the internet. It could be an advertisement on the internet. It could be a physical sign, a signpost up that, you drive your car down a street or something and you see a sign by the road. It could take that form. That's how you're getting your message out. It could be knocking on people's doors and talking to them about this thing that you have. It could be doing a demonstration at a gathering of people, like in a mall or something like that, where you have the product and you're showing it off in public. There's so many different ways you can do this, right? You can obviously place products in movies. You do endorsements. You have celebrities using your product so people see it. The list goes on and on. The idea is that you're getting your message out there. And every time somebody receives your message, they see your product, they hear you talking about it, they see your sign, etc. That's called an exposure, a marketing exposure. Okay? So that's where we come to this thing. So if you put up a sign or you start doing any one of these things or all of them, and you're going to get awareness, okay? You're going to get a lot of people that see your message. Okay? So let's say that's, let's say that's 100 people, just to make this easy, okay? Now, of those 100 people that receive your message, a lot of them, it doesn't really apply to them. Let's say you're selling, let's say you're selling, some kind of diet product to help people lose weight. Okay, well, a lot of people that hear your message and they happen to see your sign, they're thin, they don't need to lose weight, so it doesn't apply to them. Okay, so a lot of those people, they're just, it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Now, of the people, say, that could use your product, okay, let's say there's a lot of people out there that do want to lose weight, so your product would apply to them. Those people, you're reaching some of them. So let's say 60% of people or 60 people fit into that category, okay? Now, of those people who could lose some weight, maybe, you go down to the next stage and maybe, half of them don't realize that they need this product, right? So that's what, 30 people? So, you're down lower. And then of those 30 people, your product applies to them. They realize that they need it. But of those 30, let's say half of them can't afford it, or it's not convenient for them, or something like that. So you see how this kind of whittles down, right? As you go down the funnel. Eventually you get to the point where you've reached the right person. They realize they need your product. They are willing to pay for your product, and they go ahead and they make a purchase. Okay, so you get down to the bottom. So those would be your customers right there. So already this comes to the very first basic lesson, which is that if you want, say, I don't know how many people we ended up here, maybe say 5 people bought your product. Okay, you had to reach 100 people to get 5 people to buy your product. So that's kind of the first lesson here. This is sort of the basics. If you want 5 customers, you've got to reach 100 people, or some multiple in that range. It's usually a big multiple. Okay, the marketing funnel goes even further. You can go down further to people who are repeat customers, or people who love your product so much they go out and they tell everyone they know about it and they recommend it. Right, so you can go further down, and you can cut this up into all kinds of different categories. You can do it many different ways. It's just the basic concept, okay? So that's the marketing funnel. Hopefully everybody is at least somewhat familiar with that. You might have heard that, okay? So that's kind of the first thing here in terms of how to get your customers. Now, the other thing that we haven't really covered in this I keep saying podcast, it's a live stream. In this live stream so far, this is what, the 15th episode or whatever. Something I don't believe I have covered is that depending on the product you're selling, depending on the situation, it may not be linear like this, okay? It isn't just a matter of giving the message and then people buy it. There may be intermediary steps, right? So for example, any product where, your pitch is that you're going to save people money, right? You sell this product, you say, buy this, it'll save you money, right? I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs take that approach. And the problem is that if you're an unknown company or you're an unknown person, the people who hear your message, they don't know you, they've never heard of you, okay? Now, obviously, that message will resonate. The vast majority of people and the vast majority of businesses do want to save money. So that's not the issue. The issue is trust, okay? Whether they trust you. Yeah, we want to save money, but I don't believe necessarily that product will do it for me. I know that's what you say it will do, but I don't believe you. I'm going to need some more evidence, right? So that's where you get into things like content marketing, where, people come to you because you're giving them something else for free, like giving them advice or information, whatever. YouTube is a great example of that, right in front of your eyes, where you go and see someone's free videos, for example. And then if you like their channel and you watch them regularly, you get to trust them, and then they try and sell you something like that, right? Okay, that's kind of a standard model. So you're sort of sending out a message of one thing, and the goal is to get them sort of get the trust happening, get them to like you, and then the next step is then to try and sell them in a form similar to this, right? That's the idea, okay? So there's intermediate ways of doing it too, okay? But that's the basic idea. So the number one rule is if you want to try and make something popular, you have to find a way of getting your message out to many, 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 many people, right? If you are a politician, you want to be elected, you need a certain number of votes, say, 10,000 votes to get voted into your local, election that you're doing. You can't just try and reach 10,000 people. You're going to have to reach a lot more than that, right? Your plan should be to reach many, 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 many times that. And if you can't do that, then it's very, very likely that you're not going to achieve your goal, right? That's the idea. Let's go over to you guys. I see there's a lot of people in the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Julian says, something I struggle with is when I start and some time goes by but no sales. This really lowers my energy and I eventually stop. Any advice? Well, yeah, you see, usually, what we're talking about here, for example, getting marketing exposure, it's directly proportional to the amount of customers you get, right? So, I'm sure you know this already. Very simple idea. If you want more people down here, you've got to increase this, right? So that's kind of a general rule. Now, beyond that, you would have to get into the details of what you're doing and what's the nature of the business and exactly what the mechanism to sell it. But the thing is, this stuff to do marketing, to get customers, how can I put this? In order to achieve that goal, it's like you have to tick 10 boxes, okay? You could make a list of 10 things that all have to be done in order to achieve the result, okay? And if you've ticked 9 of the boxes, that's no good. You get 0 results. You have to have ticked all 10, okay? And these boxes I refer to, they'd be things like, okay, number 1, you're doing this. You're reaching a lot of people, okay? Number 2, the message that you're getting out there that people are hearing is compelling. It is something that does persuade people to buy your product, okay? If you have an ineffective message, it doesn't matter how many people you reach, none of them will buy your product because there's something wrong with the message. The message is it's a fail, basically. The next kind of another box would be you're going to the correct audience, okay? So you could blast out a message to 1 million people, but if none of those people are really your target audience that would want this, then you're not going to achieve any results really, right? You have to be going to an appropriate audience. So what we call a market segment, like a subset of people out there. There's like several of these that all have to be done correctly in order to achieve the result. Something that kind of is a bit of a pet peeve of mine is when you go on websites like LinkedIn and you see a lot of business articles and people like to reduce things down to a headline and they say, just do this and you'll succeed. And it's like, no, yeah, that's one of the things that you need to do. But there's maybe, 9 others or something that you're not mentioning. The assumption is all those other 9 are there. And then if you do that, yes, you'll succeed. And this is the thing. This is what makes this stuff challenging for people just starting out. Because it's not like you could work on one of these at a time and then have results to show for it. You figured out box 1. You managed to do that. You come up with a compelling message. And then you get some sales. And then you do box 2 and then you get more sales. It doesn't work like that. You have to do all 10 and then bam, the sales start coming in. Okay? That's generally how this works. But there's a lot of variations to it. Okay? For example, another box in there, another requirement is that people have to have confidence that you are indeed going to deliver on your message. Okay, now there's many ways that could happen. Maybe they think you're a shady operation. They think that if I pay you, it'll just be some form of fraud. You won't actually send me the product and you're just going to steal my money and I'll never hear from you again. If they think that, then the whole thing doesn't work, right? Additionally, if they think that, okay, I think you're honest. I think that you will send me this product, but I have no confidence in the product. Okay? I do want a solution for that problem. I am willing to pay for it. I am in the market for something like that. It does apply to me. I trust you that you will send me this product, but I don't believe that the way that product works is, I'm suspicious that it can generate the promise that it makes, right? So you see, all of these have to be ticked right at the same time. Okay, that's how this works. That's also the reason why a lot of people have trouble when they start out, because they haven't done one piece of it. And it's hard to get feedback sometimes. Min says, when I was reading a digital marketing business books, there was a strange word called KPI. What is it? Well, KPI usually means key performance indicator. What's it used for? Could you tell us? Sorry about that, because I was of a science background. KPI is a very general term. It just means that it's usually to monitor the effectiveness of some kind of business operation, okay? And it's a critical metric, a critical thing that you're measuring to see if you're achieving your goals, okay? So for example, if you run a repair shop, you fix cars, okay, one key performance indicator on how you're doing would be how many cars did we process through our shop this week, right? Another KPI would be how many complaints did we get from customers that our repair didn't work, okay? And a third KPI could be how many customers actually pay their bills when we send them an invoice. Okay, so these are examples of KPIs, key performance indicators. They're the things that a manager would look at to see how the business is doing. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Jersey D, are you up for discussing slightly different approach? How much are you following AI? I have a question about the future. Obvious move would be, I'd love to hear your thought. Okay. What, on AI? Well, I'm not really talking about AI really specifically here. I mean, yes, AI is going to change a lot of things. It's not going to be as big of a shift as people think it is in the short term. However, it'll be a very big, very, very revolutionary change in the long term. And I don't know what the time frame that is. I don't think anybody does it. Okay, once you get all the government regulators stepping in, once you get all the traditional businesses panicking and trying to retrench themselves, I don't think anybody can really say how it's going to turn out. Okay. What? KPI is a key performance indicator. Oh yeah. Okay. So you're answering the question. It shows how well you're doing when it comes to hitting target. Yeah. Lop Fast says, in order to winning contracts for sole proprietorship company, do you have any advices for establishing consulting service prices for clients? No, I mean, that's going to vary depending what you're doing, what you're consulting on, and you can usually look those up. But the best way to get into consulting is to already be in the industry, in which case you would have a basic idea of how much people would charge for it. If your customers are business clients, then it's going to be a lot higher. Obviously, if you're trying to do consulting for the consumer market, that's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot lower in terms of price. And there's all kinds of methods. You could charge by the hour. You can charge by deliverable, which is like per project, per solution. So it varies. Okay, it's kind of a really complicated answer and not really possible to answer in a minute or two. But you can find a lot of that stuff on the net. You can just Google that and get an answer. Dumpling abroad. Wow, I'm really far behind in this chat. Hello, first-time chatter in here. Getting tips on how to change my job from working in a phone shop to working as a bookkeeper and concentrating on a side hustle on the side. Okay. Well, welcome, Dumpling abroad. Yeah, just learn business, basically, and try stuff. The biggest piece of advice I could give anyone to learn how to do a side hustle is to try stuff. There's a lot of people, and this is evidenced by the comments I got in response to the poll I put out this morning, that like, there's so many people that don't even try. They've decided it's not possible. They've decided it can't be done before they've even gotten evidence one way or another, so they don't even try. They never enter the game in the first place, so it's highly unlikely you're going to win with that attitude. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing I would say that I don't hear a lot of people saying, is that try stuff, but really manage your risk. Don't take big risks. What you hear people say in the popular media about take risks, it's like there's a big asterisk to that. Yeah, manage your risk. And to learn this stuff, you don't need to spend any real money for it. So don't spend your life savings, don't take out loans, don't do any of that stuff. You don't have to do that stuff. Try stuff, okay? You have access to the internet. You have the potential to reach millions of people, okay? Just from your computer or smartphone, if you know how. So learn how. Then learn what message to put out there that will result in people coming to you with their wallets open, wanting to pay you for something that you can deliver, okay? It's when you put it in those terms, it's pretty simple. That's what you've got to figure out, okay? And no one can tell you exactly how to do it. You have to figure out the right way for you to do it. People can give you general principles, like I can give you general principles, but the best way you're going to learn this stuff is by trying things yourself. Because what I don't know and I can't allow for is your specific situation, your specific talents, your level of knowledge, and your tastes. Some people just don't like doing certain things. Other people don't mind it. Right? Some people hate cold calling and they will never cold call anyone in their lives. I'd probably put myself in that category. I've done cold calling for various things, and especially in my corporate career, but I really don't enjoy it. I would not start a business that way. Just me personally, right? So the great thing is you can find a method that works for you, right? So that's what no one can tell you, right? Things that are specific to you. But that's a big part of what's going to work for you, so you have to figure it out. And you do that by trial and error to some degree. Jersey D says, I believe the way people shop is going to drastically change and advertisers are going to need to stay ahead of the inevitable personal shopper bots. Yeah, you know what? That is always changing. That has always changed. The specifics of how precisely it's done are constantly changing, and it always will. The fundamentals of what's going on there haven't changed. They haven't changed since antiquity. You show people some value, something that makes sense for them, And if it applies to them and they can afford it and you manage to demonstrate its value to them and convince them, they buy it. It's simple. Dumpling, don't take on bookkeeping. It's a trade that's getting replaced by automation. Possibly. But let me tell you something. They've been talking about the paperless office for about 45 years. More than that, actually. And it's always just around the corner, right? Now, yes, we're going to get that someday, and I will be very happy when it does happen. But have we eliminated paper yet? No. They've been talking about that my entire life, about how it's just around the corner and that you shouldn't do anything or invest in anything that deals with paper. Like, I remember being advised, don't invest in a photocopier, don't invest in a printer, don't invest in a scanner because paper's going away. Yeah, that was 25 years ago. Unfortunately, it's still with us, So bookkeeping is not going away anytime soon. It's eventually, in 100 years, it'll probably be gone, right? I would hope so, right? But it's here. People make billions of dollars a year in that business. So I wouldn't say don't do it. There might be a need right now for that stuff. You got to be careful. And like I said, who cares what my opinion is? Who cares what your opinion is? The person needs to try it. If they could get people to pay them for it, there's your answer. There's obviously a need, and you can obviously do it. It's just that simple. If you feel you can do it, you have some skills in that area, and you want to try it, try it. Find a way to try that idea without spending a lot of your money, like preferably nothing. Put some posts out there, places where people might need bookkeeping, and see if anyone says, yes, I'm interested. I'll pay you for that. Right? I think AI may kill Amazon. Can we discuss? No, we cannot discuss. Who cares? Who cares what my opinion is on that? Who cares what your opinion is on that? Let's see. If you think it is, we'll just stick around for a few years and see. Many people have made predictions that this is going to kill that. 95% of the time, they're wrong. A few times they have been right. Things have disappeared almost overnight. Okay. But a lot of times it doesn't work out like that. Okay. This is an imperfect world and it's not idealized. And even if that does happen, there's a lot of people going to be making a lot of money in that business as it's going down. Okay. And it's kind of great because it works against itself. You get a lot of people exiting the market. That leaves a lot of opportunity for the people that remain. All of a sudden, you're used to having 35 competitors. All of a sudden, 18 left overnight. So your business more than doubles, right? That's the counter argument. And the other part of it is that it's going to take so long. If it takes 25 years for it to happen completely, what does it matter? In the meantime, you'll be laughing all the way to the bank. So there's a counter argument with all this stuff. Anybody can make a logical argument about anything. The only way to really know for sure is to try it. So if you can find a very cheap, quick, easy way of trying it, that's what it's all about. Okay, so people are talking about bookkeeping and they're arguing about it, going back and forth. That's what it looks like. Okay. Here we go. That's an argument about AI and bookkeeping. Yeah, you see, this is the kind of stuff that's a waste of energy. Don't argue about what's going to happen or what's possible. This is what separates the people that actually achieve success from the people who don't. Don't waste your energy arguing on people trying to push your opinion about whether something will work or not, okay? If you have a theory that it could work and it could make you money and it could be a path to success for you, who cares what other people think? There are always going to be people that disagree with you. Coincidentally, anyone who does something, you have a ton of people standing around you telling you it's not going to work. People who have never done anything themselves but feel that they know for a fact better than you, they're going to tell you it's not possible and you should just give up and not even try, right? you've got to learn to ignore those voices. If you think you can do it, okay, you have this theory, try it. That's how you learn. If you've done that 30 times, then you can turn around and tell somebody what's possible and what's not possible. Okay, I get people doing that to me all the time, telling me this is not possible. It's like, sorry, buddy, I've done it. Okay, I've made a very comfortable living doing it, so don't tell me it's not possible. I'm telling you it is possible. Now, look, to each their own. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but don't tell me it's impossible and put that out there and contradict me. Okay, so Jersey D and Dumpling Abroad, maybe just cool it with the arguing about that stuff, okay? Go out and try it. Wow, time really flies when I do these live streams. You know, this particular live stream, I try and keep it to half an hour. I usually fail. It goes over, but we're at the half an hour mark right now. So, yeah, just to reiterate, okay, to summarize, we're talking about the biggest challenge in all of business, and that's how to get customers. A lot of people get distracted. They think that all these other challenges are really important, okay? This is the number one challenge for any business, okay? It's getting customers. A lot of people that work in large enterprise, they have a very distorted view of what's important to business because they work in a teeny tiny piece of it. They're a little tiny cog in the machine. And what they see around them is not really representative of the business as a whole. This is the number one challenge for business. This is what the people at the top, if they're effective, if they're doing their job, and if the company is succeeding, this is what they're the most concerned with. And it's coincidental that if you try and do a side hustle on an extremely small scale, this will be your number one challenge. You're going to be constantly thinking about this, okay? There are other things that are important too, obviously, but this is, of all of the important things, this is number one, okay? The takeaways I would say here for people is that if you're just coming new to this, learn the marketing funnel, learn the concept of you have to get your message out there, okay? You have to get your message out there to many, many more times the amount of people that you would need as a customer. Okay, it's going to be like 100 to 1, 500 to 1 sometimes, depending on what you're doing. So that's the fundamental concept here. Second concept is that there's several things you have to do, like you have to have a message that resonates, that convinces people to do business with you. You have to go to the right audience. If you're going to the wrong audience, none of this will do any good. Okay. If people don't trust you, like they hear your message, it does apply to them, and they do have the money to spend for that, and they're looking for a solution. But if they just don't have the confidence in you, right? Somebody mentioned earlier about the consulting business. That's going to be the number one issue in the consulting business, because, the thing with advice is anyone can give it, right? I mean, I'm kind of giving it right now. Anybody can give advice, but how do you know it's good advice? You don't know it until you've invested so much of your own, energy and action following it, right? And if it's bad advice, you stand to lose a lot. Not only could your efforts fail completely, but then you could ruin the reputation or the goodwill of whatever you're trying to sell, product or service, or your brand itself, right? So there's a lot to risk. And there's, it's very hard. It's a real lagging indicator. It's very hard to tell if that advice was good. So therefore, trust is the number one thing. So if you're an unknown quantity, it's kind of hard to sell advice, right? So there's many things you got to do, and it starts off with this. Hopefully in the future, I'll get a chance to go into detail about the other things too. But I hope you got something out of this. There are 19 of you guys here. Thank you for being here. I do this live stream every Monday and every Thursday, so I'll be back on Monday with a new topic. If you have any topic suggestions, let me know. And other than that, you guys have yourselves a great weekend, and I will be back on Monday. Take care, and I wish you every success.